All right, good morning. Good morning. Thank you for everyone that's here this morning. I'm John Ahmann. I lead the Westside Future Fund. I want to welcome you to our Transform Westside Summit on this wonderful Friday. Looks like we're going to have a great weather weekend. I always like to start our Transform Westside Summits by reminding everyone that we are live. So that the camera's up. We are live. So if you want to encourage people to tune in live, we would love that. The summits are immediately available up on YouTube once we finish. But I want to start with always welcoming any newcomers. So you see a lot of familiar faces. Great to see everyone. But if you're attending a Transform Westside Summit for the first time, would you raise your hand, please? All right. Welcome, newcomers. We are glad for newcomers. Thank you. So for our program this morning, for our newcomers, I'm going to speak for just a couple more minutes, then we're going to have a devotion. We're really looking forward to our devotion led by one of our soon-to-be Home on the Westside homeowners, Ebony and Charley. Thank you. And then we'll have a little bit of time for fellowship to kind of build community, get to know each other. And then we are very excited to have our most awesome Zone 1 commander here this morning, Major Baldini, who, when you hear the phrase community policing and the energy that would go into that frame, we really salute her leadership and working with all of us to make Zone 1 even safer. And we're going to close out with as always, with our Home Depot gift drawing and our North Georgia gift card drawing. So you want to stay till the very end because you could be a winner. We always want to remind folks that we have a great monthly e-newsletter, so the barcode. If you have something you want us to get out, through our channels, we would love to do that. So please follow up, let us know anything we can do. We have yes, here it is. So our social media feed. So we'd love for you to be active in our channels, to of course, like everything we post. Please do that. We go count our likes. No, we don't. But we would love to have you post on our social media. And then, the final is, the Home Depot Foundation, thank you, with their gift card, and Goodwill North Georgia, their gift card as well at the end of our summit. So next up, and for our newcomers, to kind of frame it a little bit, we draw inspiration for our devotions from the story of Nehemiah in the Old Testament. And so in the story of Nehemiah in the Old Testament, where Nehemiah is called back to Jerusalem to rebuild Jerusalem, and the rebuild, from my study of it, is both a built rebuild, like what do you need to do to rebuild it physically, but it's a heart and value rebuild as well. So grounding the community and values to build that community. So it's both, the what and the values that go behind rebuilding. So we always kind of ask our speaker not to necessarily speak from Nehemiah, but kind of within that frame of rebuilding community. And I'm going to introduce our speaker in just a moment. I'm going to read a devotion statement first, just to ground it. We always read this statement. It's become our tradition to begin our meetings with a positive, inspirational message from a member of our community. Recognizing that many in our community are driven by their spiritual faith to participate in the Westside revitalization effort, the time at the beginning of our meetings is an opportunity to share various inspirational reflections. While the speakers may articulate their personal faith, it's meant to be inclusive, inspiring, and meaningful with the story of Nehemiah as our guide. So I'm excited this morning that Ebony Charley agreed to be our devotion speaker. She is got her own small business, Trinity Financial Management. She's got a deep commitment to faith. I had an opportunity to speak with her before the summit, and how her faith brought her back to Atlanta. Her faith brought her back to James Street Brother, where she'll soon be learning. She has dedicated her time to serving organizations such as Big Brothers Big Sisters, Meals on Wheels, Safe House Outreach, and the Westside Future Fund. She came to our summits and had really wanted to commit to become a homeowner through our Home on the Westside program. And so as God would have it, here we are in a full circle moment. And so we really want to join all of y'all to join me in welcoming, give her a big welcoming to lead our community devotion this morning. So come on up.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. How are you guys doing? In January, I turned 44, and so did my eyes. I have graduated to needing readers, so I can read what I'm going to say, but now you all are blurry. As I have become intentional about developing my relationship with God, I've had the delight in learning his nature and character. To do so, it required me to spend time with him and study his word. The book of Nehemiah tells us the story of a man who had a great burden after learning the walls of Jerusalem were in ruins after the exile. With strength, courage, and wisdom, he returned to the city and led the effort to rebuild its walls. Through the story of Nehemiah, and among others, I realized that our times of today are no different than the times of Nehemiah. I've also truly come to know that God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Allow me to share with you how I know this to be true. I like to read and share two passages of scripture from the book of Nehemiah. The first is being read from the New Living Translation, chapter 1, verses 2 through 4. Hanani, one of my brothers, came to visit me with some other men who had just arrived from Judah. I asked them about the Jews who had returned there from captivity and about how things were going in Jerusalem. They said to me, "Things are not going well for those who return to the province of Judah. They are in great trouble and disgrace. The wall of Jerusalem has been torn down, and the gates have been destroyed by fire." When I heard this, I sat down and wept. In fact, for days I mourned, fasted, and prayed to the God of heaven. It's evident that Nehemiah was sorrowful and very concerned after learning the conditions of his beloved homeland. I believe if Nehemiah lived today and he were to gather with his brother and others, it would look and sound much like a Westside Summit meeting. For example, like Mr. Tillman Ward, I believe someone would raise the issue and discuss how access and usage of closed roads of the west side of Atlanta could be reestablished. Or like Ms. Maria Saporta, they'd raise the concern and need for historic preservation of buildings and landmarks such as Pascal's and the Old English Avenue School. Or like Ms. Linda Adams, I believe they would express the passion they have for their neighborhood of Vine City and want to make sure they are hands-on and have a seat at the table when discussing the restoration plans and developing projects of the future for their community. Or, like Dr. Leroy Wright, they'd inquire how the Beltline on the west side can receive the same equitable investments as the Beltline of the 4th Ward. Despite all of these challenges, and after discussing all of their concerns, I do believe there would be someone in attendance lightening the mood, like Miss Thelma, who smiles when introducing herself, saying she's simply happy to be here. I also think, like Miss Sandra Bush, Nehemiah would infectiously share with everyone that he too shared something in common with Booker T. Washington. They both graduated from Hampton University. The names I've just mentioned are only a few of many in this room who represent, love, and stand firmly for the west side of Atlanta. The determination and commitment of this community have encouraged me to do my part in building the wall of the west side. Please join me in giving an applause to everyone here. We each honor and respect the history of the beloved West Side and are dedicated to making sure its future is bright for generations to come. So let's give ourselves an applause. I mentioned that I wanted to read two passages of scripture. The second is Nehemiah chapter 3, verses 1 through 6. It reads as follows. Then Eliashib, the high priest, and other priests started to rebuild at the sheep gate. They dedicated it and set up its doors, building the wall as far as the Tower of the 100, which they dedicated, and the Tower of Hananel. People from the town of Jericho worked next to them, and beyond them was Zachar, son of Imri. The fish gate was built by the sons of Hassenaah. They laid the beams, set up its doors, and installed its bolts and bars. Miramoth, son of Uriah and grandson of Hakaz, repaired the next section of the wall. Beside him were Meshullam, son of Berechiah, and grandson Meshezabel, and then Zadok, son of Bana. Next were the people from Tekoa, though the leaders refused to work with the construction supervisors. The old city gate was repaired by Joiada, son of Paseah, and Meshullam, son of Besadiah. They laid the beams, set up its doors, and installed its bolts and bars. I have intentionally read verses that introduce us to some of those who worked on the wall. Regardless of surrounding neighborhoods that they may have been from, or which job tasks they performed, all of their contributions were valuable and needed to rebuild the wall of Jerusalem. So I'll ask again, how many of you know that God is the same yesterday, today, and forever? He is still doing a great work in each of us, and I believe in our own right, we are all like Nehemiah and those who worked on the wall of Jerusalem. But if Nehemiah were living today, if he were from the west side of Atlanta, the best side, renewing and rebuilding its homes, businesses, parks, and infrastructures, I believe he would introduce and acknowledge the staff of Westside Future Fund. Not wanting to embarrass anyone, with the sincerest intent to applaud your effort and work, if present, will you please stand and wave when you hear your name? Shalon Brown, Director of Marketing and Communications, Janora Crook, Receptionist, Will Flanagan, Maintenance Supervisor, Kiana Hatton, Senior Accountant. Now, I can't see if y'all waving y'all hands and stuff because I told you I got these readers on. Jackie Hayes, Staff Accountant, Patrick Hedden, Building Manager of 970 Jefferson, Mariel Hicks, Development Officer, Raquel Hudson, Director of Programs, John Ingram, Chief Development Officer, Derek Jordan, Vice President of Construction Management and Community Development, Joanne Matayoshi, Accounting Manager, and also the person who let Chick-fil-A in this morning, you guys, so give her a round of applause. Mia McDowell, Home on the West Side Program Coordinator, Chelsea Moore, Senior Development Manager, Marnie Pittman, Vice President of Finance, and Robin Washington, Volunteer Coordinator. At this time, will all the team members of Westside Future Fund and members of the Board of Directors, if present, please also stand to be applauded and recognized. Thank you. There are a few more members of the Westside Future Fund staff and others that I did not call by name. That is because in their own way, each of them have played an intricate role in my journey of becoming not only a homeowner on the west side of Atlanta, but also a devoted and committed resident of this community. It is important for me to give special recognition and personal thanks to each of them. So if you don't mind, I need you all to come to the stage. Sonia Dawson, I just saw you sitting right here. I don't know where she went. John Ahmann, Rachel Carey, Lee Harp, Tamika Askew. Sonia Dawson, Chief of Staff is your title, but you have been described as a shero, which is defined as a woman admired for her courage, achievements, or noble qualities. Sonia, thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my devotion. John Ahmann, President and CEO of Westside Future Funds. Though we see you front and center as the gracious host of each Westside Summit, I recognize that much of your work takes place behind the scenes. Your efforts in cultivating partnership, securing resources, and advancing initiatives in housing, education, economic justice, and anti-displacement are deeply impactful. I extend my sincere appreciation for your contributions. You not only serve this community, but you are an integral part of it. So thank you. Rachel Carey, you're more than the Chief Real Estate Officer of Westside Future Fund to me. You are the endearing woman who briefly met me only one time last spring at a Westside Future Fund open house. Yet after crossing paths almost a year later, you remembered me, knew who I was, and graciously acknowledged me as a new neighbor within the community. Rachel, I not only thank you for that, but I also thank you for my Rachel Pink home. You guys, that's the actual paint color for the exterior of the house. And although I know that it wasn't the intent to choose a paint color with your name, I find it very charming. Lee Harrop, the Vice President of Real Estate Development of Westside Future Fund. Lee, though my words are few, they come with deep gratitude. You have not just developed a house for my father and me, you have given us a home. I truly thank you from the bottom of my heart. Tamika Askew, as the director of Home on the West Side, she would tell you she's simply a servant. I will tell you, for me, Tamika, you are an angel on earth. From the very beginning of my journey to pursue purchasing a home on the West Side, which began 2 years ago, Tamika, you have been my faith reinforcer in every moment that I've needed it. When I told Tamika which house I was led to purchase, she simply said, well, okay then, that's your house. Even when I was unsure of how things would come together for me to purchase the house, and believe me, there were many things that I needed to come together, Tamika, your belief and faith for me never wavered. Where was I? Instead, from the very beginning, you began introducing me to various people at Westside Future Fund, telling them, Ebony is buying the pink house, or Ebony went to see her house today. And every time you did that, I would wonder and ask myself, why in the world is she telling everybody this house is mine when nothing has been finalized? But then I realized that you were only claiming what I had already claimed. That God told me this was my house. Tamika, what you do is not just the work of a director. It's more than the work of a servant. It's the work of an angel. So thank you. Lastly, I will be remiss if I fail to mention Oaks ATL. They do not simply construct homes, they create welcoming homes and foster a sense of community. The renewed beauty of my pretty and pink home is thanks to the work of Kevin Rice, project foreman, and Jeff Martin, project superintendent. During this journey, I often enjoyed chatting with them and expressing my appreciation for the work and everyone involved put together into building my home. It is something special when you can build relationship with the very people who are literally rebuilding your neighborhood. Therefore, I encourage both new home buyers and residents to get to know those who are working diligently to build, restore, and renew our community. Please join me in giving everyone here a round of applause as a sign of appreciation for their contribution to rebuilding the wall on the west side of Atlanta. I will bring this to a close by saying this. What is happening in this room, what is happening into this community is the epitome of the book of Nehemiah. And I am beyond certain that we are the community Dr. King will be proud to call home. Thank you.
Well, I feel like that expression, when people say, well, you just gotten schooled. And that was amazing. Thank you. And I really, when I first started the work of the Westside Future and reflecting the history of these neighborhoods, heard that frame, beloved community. And what I really appreciate about what you just said is you took the time to be intentional, that it takes all of us. And we all have a role, and what's in our hearts in that role is what really matters in terms of building that community. So thank you, and the pink house. If y'all drive on J&P Brawley, you can see the pink house underway. Thank you, Oaks ATL. But let's thank Ebony again, because that was an amazing devotion. And one of the things we wanted to quickly do to kind of to build off what she just said is we're really proud of our Home on the West Side program, which has kind of three legs of the stool, so to speak. So the anti-assessment tax fund, which if you're a legacy homeowner, which in our neighborhoods we define as 2017 or before, pay future tax appreciation. We have new apartments coming online for Home on the West Side, as well as new home ownership. And our community retention guidelines in terms of honoring the history of these neighborhoods, that we prioritize folks. Have you lived in the neighborhoods? Have you worked in the neighborhoods, or do you work in the neighborhoods? Or have you attended, as Ebony did, one of the Atlanta University Center Consortium schools? So Clark Atlanta University grad, so that's against our guidelines, or if you work at the schools. So one of those three criteria for both our rental and our Home on the West Side, our home ownership program as well. And Tamika, wave your hand, and Mia, our, Home on the West Side coordinator. So as we go through some slides, if you see something of interest, as Ebony did, right, you can become a homeowner through our program. So I wanted to show you some of the homes we have coming up for sale. So on English Avenue, let me stand the other way. And I'll go through them quickly. So yeah, this will one be under renovation. We appreciate the major, because we've wanted to do this one for a bit, but we have to kind of clean up the block with some of the challenges along that block with some of the squatters. 459. So our goal this year is to sell 25 homes. We're on track. These are new multifamily on Joseph E. Boone. You're looking at three micro retail stalls along with 33 high quality units at various prices of affordability. And this is another one that people are moving in on Echo Street, just behind Donnelly Howell. Yeah. So please, if you're interested here, there's a barcode. And on our home on the, and thanks to the amazing philanthropic support we receive, and also from the city through the Westside Tax Allocation District, we're able to offer affordable rents, and also on our home ownership, we offer down payment assistance that layers on top of what Invest Atlanta Housing gives. So we really, for folks that may think a home is out of reach, thanks to our program, we've often put people into homes that otherwise might not be able to have one. And before we start with the major, and I think in the interest of building community, what I would love to do, because I think we have enough of a crowd to kind of go through quickly, but let's do the self-introductions. If you would stand up, give your name, and say where you're from, and please, as much as you want to kind of keep on going, we want to kind of move around and just building on what Ebony said. Part of the reason we take these time to do the self-introductions is so we can all know each other back to building community. And if after the program, if you see someone you'd like to meet or follow up with, we'd love to do that. But we kind of want to move through everyone, so we'd ask you to just stand up. When you stand up, hold the mic close to your mouth so it can pick you up, and we'll kind of move row to row. Please.
Good morning. My name is Jalen Smith, originally from Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm a lending executive for VI Capital.
Hello, my name is Matthew Coleman, originally from Toledo, Ohio, and I am an executive with VI Capital Lending.
Hey, my name is Miles Jackson. I'm a lending executive at VI Capital, and I'm from Bartow, Georgia.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Sullivan, and I'm a recent homeowner on the west side of Vine City.
Hi, good morning. I'm Neil Shorthouse with Partners in Change, personal, social, and economic upward mobility through coaching. Oh, excuse me, Leroy.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Leroy Wright. I'm the pastor of our First Thessalonian Missionary Baptist Church. It's good to see everyone.
Good morning, first-timer Rukia Thomas, and I represent 5948 Legacy Management this morning, and just wanted to say congratulations to my Clark Atlanta alum.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Vincequer. I work with Trees Atlanta.
Good morning. I'm with Fulton Institute. My name is Lee Wilder. We support culture in the underserved portions of Fulton County.
Good morning. My name is Mandy Eidson. I'm with Self Help Credit Union. We're just down the road in the West End.
Good morning. My name is Daryl Mills. Currently reside in Atlantic Station, and this is the first time.
Good morning. I am Mildred J. Mills. This is my husband, and I'm also a first-timer, and I am originally from Wetumpka, Alabama.
Good morning. My name is Anthony Bellows. I'm a legacy resident of English Avenue and a volunteer.
Good morning. My name is Sandra Bush, and I reside in the Booker T. Washington neighborhood.
Good morning. My name is Segei Kim, and I live in English Avenue, and I work in affordable housing and cybersecurity.
Good morning, family. I'm Tillman Ward, president of Greater Vine City Community Resources of Atlanta, an alum of Morris Brown College, Clark Atlanta, and Booker T. Washington High. As you know, we're in the epicenter of great assets, historical and inspirational. And some still need a few brushes of kindness, and that's what we're doing. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Stephen Mucci. I run a film production company called Roadrunner Films, and I live in Oakland City.
Good morning. I'm Pam Storm, originally from College Park. I'm an affordable housing provider, and thank you, Manager Baldini, for being here.
Good morning. My name is Daniel Jackson. I'm the chair of the BOMC. We are a food pantry, but we're also a nonprofit organization that works to stave off food insecurity and provide literacy for our community, for seniors especially. Also in an insurance agency called True Care Benefits.
Bob Butler, Coa Banker Real Estate.
Damian Scott, originally from California, live here in Atlanta now for 14 years, and I'm an affordable housing provider here in the English Avenue side.
Hello, everyone. My name. Do I have to stand?
Oh, okay, sorry. Hello, everyone. My name is Donovan Montgomery. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan, and I'm a new resident of your state of Fulton County and your beautiful state of Georgia. So, yeah, it's good to meet you guys.
Good rising. I'm Duwali L, an auditor and advocate of the truth. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. Nice to meet you all.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Joe Badgett with Goodwill in North Georgia.
Good morning, Linda Adams, Vine City resident.
Good morning, Leonard Watkins, Vine City resident and NPUO chairman.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ellis Williams, originally from Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm CEO of Hampton and Shoals Consulting Group.
Good morning, Matt Maxwell, English Avenue resident, and I work with Oaks ATL.
Awesome. Sean Watwood, English Avenue resident on Proctor, proud evangelist for all things West Side and Home on the West Side recipient.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Brittany Good. I am from College Park, but I was born on the West Side. This is my first time here. I'm a transaction coordinator, and I'm also a globally certified AI consultant.
Good morning, everyone. Rue Gunter. I'm an English Avenue resident, and I work with Oaks ATL.
Good morning. I'm Kashi Segal. I'm a native Atlantan. I run Rataza. We support local farmers and operate low-cost food markets around Atlanta. We've got 19, most of which are on the west side. 19 every week, so.
Good morning. I'm Daryl Ashore, Fourth Hotel, Fourth Club.
Hi, everyone. I'm Britt Gray. Been in Atlanta for about 15 years. I'm the director of a store called Blue and Green ATL in Inman Park. We just opened 4 months ago. We're also a community space.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rosalind Merrick, President and CEO of Atlanta Habitat for Humanity, and we are super proud to be a partner of Westside Future Fund, and I'm really proud to be a native daughter of Atlanta. Good to see you all.
Good morning and happy Friday. I'm David Edson with Cox Curran Associates.
Hi, my name is Amaris. I'm from Chicago, but I'm up in Chamblee now. I'm a newly published children's author and aspiring real estate agent and passionate Goodwill shopper.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Zenga Suingwa. I am a small business owner. I run a software development company, and I live and I'm a homeowner in Vine City and trying to see about these taxes.
Good morning, happy Friday. My name is Tasha Ford. I'm a government affairs consultant and also proud alum of Clark Atlanta University.
Good morning again. I am Ebony Charley, very soon to be resident of English Avenue.
All right, thank you. Y'all did that awesomely. Thank you. Did anyone appreciate all the folks supporting us some this morning, our Westside Future Fund team and Team MV as well. So thank you. Did anyone want to get introduced who didn't get introduced? Please raise your hand. I want to make sure anyone who wants to. Do we? All right, so back to really taking the time to know each other and how we support each other, right? Back to building a beloved community. So thank you for taking the time. Let's just give all ourselves an affirmation round of applause for doing it. All right, well, I'm very excited to have as our guest this morning, Major Baldini, who's our Zone 1 commander. So I'm on the wrong side. All right, thank you. Thank you. It's good to have support. When we started to work with the Westside Future Fund, when I started, about a decade ago, we established, really based on best practice, we were...
I was waiting for Sonia to tell me I could sit down.
Yeah, please. Well, you're the police. You can come at any point.
No, Sonia runs the show here.
But to set up our conversation, Major, when we started the work over a decade ago, we learned from others, and we established what we call 4 impact areas. So safety and security, cradle-to-career education, health and wellness, mixed income communities. And when we started our work, especially English Avenue, Vine City, one of the biggest challenges at that time was, with crime, and we had the partners in both the Atlanta Police Foundation as well as Atlanta Police, and we know that there's been a lot of, support, in the first Act Promise centers at English Avenue, and now I think there are 3 or 4 more. I think we have at least 25 officers living in the community. There's been a lot more, cameras have been installed, et cetera. So a major push, and we'll talk more about this in a second, around public safety. But to give a little bit about Major Baldini, she brings deep experience to her role, having served with APD since 2005 in a variety of assignments, including in Zone 1 and Zone 3, and at the Atlanta Police Training Academy. And if you haven't met her, you'll know what I'm about to say next will be true. What stands out most is not just her experience, but her reputation for being approachable, responsive, and eager to help. She understands the importance of partnership and engagement, and has shown, and I think any of us who worked with her would echo this, has shown a real commitment to working with the community. We're grateful for her leadership and for her willingness to join us for today's conversation. So please just welcome the Major Baldini. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
And so I thought just to start, set the stage is for people just to know you a little bit better.
Sure.
So just a little bit maybe of your own why, a little bit about your background, whatever you care to share, and people just can know you a little bit better.
Well, thanks for having me, everyone. I'm a Gemini. I like long walks on the... I'm just kidding. Most of you that do know me know my sarcasm and my humor a little bit. I'm looking at Miss Adams. So my why. I moved here in 2005. I've been a police officer for almost 29 years. I lived in Indiana. I'm a Hoosier, and we're number 1, and we beat everybody. So that's right. Strong, right? Wrong sport, man. I think they went home last night as well. So I moved here for personal reasons, and I've been a police officer with APD since 2005, and immediately moved to the city, so I'm a city resident. I know the West Side's the best, Ebony, but I'm an East Sider, but it's okay. I'm still locked in. And I have a home there. I'm involved in community there. My kids are in APS schools, go to church on the East Side. So I understand that. And in my assignment over here on the West Side, I keep coming back to it. So as a sergeant, I worked for the Police Foundation and ran Crime Stoppers, and started plugging in here early when we built the At Promise Center, when we started working originally with the Secure Housing Initiative with the officers, and I really got a taste of community and growth, and promoted up the chain of command and became a commander in Zone 1 as a lieutenant in 2016, 2017, 2018. And that's when we closed the Yellow Store. We were just talking with somebody about the Yellow Store, and started kind of chipping away. Moved up the chain of command, went back to training, went to some other places, and luckily when the chief made me a captain, he sent me back to Zone 1. So I keep coming back here. It's like a magnet. And now I'm still here again. I guess they like me. So I love the ability to see the actual transformation take place and develop these relationships with your team and community. And as Sonia was saying earlier, how big Zone 1 is. This is just one. This is one portion. It's a large zone. There's a lot going on, but it's the work in English Avenue and Vine City is easy because of you guys.
No, I think we have a slide next is so folks can see in the circle Zone 1, and I think
yellow.
The yellow, yep, the yellow. And if you want to tell folks a little bit about Zone 1.
Yeah, 102, I can't reach it. 102 is all of English Avenue in Vine City, and the squiggly line in there at the bottom of 102, that's MLK. That's the MLK corridor going west. So basically we have everything from Mercedes-Benz out to 285, that's Fairburn, FIB. They're at the fringe of the airport there. And then basically along 20 and just a tidbit south of 20. So it's a pretty large area. And then to the north, we go all the way up to Bolton Road and beyond. So almost to the county line up there at the top of the Red Rim. So very, very large area.
So in thinking about that large area, Major, what are your key priorities for Zone 1 for this year?
Well, the city as a whole was down 7% last year in crime. So the city as a whole was doing really well because we were up against some really tough numbers. However, Zone 1 was up in crime. I was the only zone that went up in crime in 2025. So I'm pretty mad about that. Those that know me know how competitive I am, and I don't like to lose. So to know that my crime was up last year was really frustrating. Part of that was in April of 2025, I acquired some new area, and my zone was the only zone that acquired area and didn't give anything back. So every 5-6 years, they do a study, and based upon data, calls for service, traffic, main thoroughfares. A lot of nerds look at numbers, not me, and they figure out, okay, where are the calls coming from and who can get there faster, right? So we reacquired English Avenue. English Avenue was given to Zone 5 about 5 or 6 years ago. I'm not sure why. Some other study and the calls changed a little bit. I'm happy, I'm ecstatic to have English Avenue back because to me, the flow of being able to serve this area makes more sense than having Zone 5 having to cross over Northside Drive to answer calls. And the neighborhoods are more congruent on this side. So it's easier for the officers in my zone to continue that pace with those two together.
Yeah, and back what you said, and I mean, when I looked at this map, I'm like, well, A, we're lucky to have you because you got a lot to say grace over in any given day. But as we look at it's the precincts, right? The different numbers?
Correct.
So are they all kind of the same? Do some stand out as having different kind of challenges than others?
Oh, 100%. Some zones have more commercial that they have to patrol and crime related to thefts or cars. Some have more challenges around person-related offenses and violent crime. So that's one of our goals this year is to drive violent crime down. Aggravated assaults were up significantly last year in Zone 1. So Captain Jones and I have one of our top goals is aggravated assaults and robberies, driving those down. And so far we're chipping away. Homicides continue to stay down last year and this year, and we're chipping away. We're already down on robberies. In fact, year to date, we've already had, I think, 6 or 7 less robberies than we did this time last year. So we're working in the right direction.
And as you look at Zone 1 and your different precincts, are there some precincts that, in terms of the kind of nature of the challenges are very different than other precincts too, even within Zone 1?
Well, we only have one precinct in Zone 1, but you mean the beats, the areas?
Yeah, the beats. I'm saying it wrong. Yeah, like the 102, the 101.
Yeah, of course. So 101 is mainly the AUC.
Right.
111 has a lot of public housing along the MLK corridor there. That's Allen Hills, Allen Temple, several apartment complexes with a lot of densely populated groups. And then you got a 114 and you've got commercial and industrial area, and that is a lot of land to cover for an officer to patrol on a daily basis. So very different across the board.
So one thing I guess as I reflect on and do a takeout, you really have to a lot of different approaches for your different patrol areas.
Mm-hmm.
So as you think about what really worked in 2025 and what you're focused on in 2026, what are the real strategies you feel like will bring the success you want to see?
Well, if we just want to stay micro and just talk about English Avenue and Vine City, because we could talk about 14 different plans, because I have 14 different beats. But for English Avenue and Vine City, we have to keep following the plan that we've been following since May of last year. And that's locking in on everything from violent crime and disrupting that. So working with our partners within APD that are targeting bad guys, right? So who are the people that are carrying guns? Who are the people that are pulling triggers? Who are the people that are selling fentanyl, selling heroin, and really disrupting the crime trends, right? But then also at the same time, like we had the conversation at your office a few months ago, the people of English Avenue and Vine City, what are they seeing? Crimes related to quality of life, naked people, package thefts, open air drug use, stuff that affects you guys. That might not affect the overall crime numbers. However, that's important to these groups. So I have to have a balanced approach in targeting violent crime and quality of life issues.
And especially on the quality of life issues, how do you think about working with residents, with organizations like us, but many other organizations are here this morning as well? Like, what are the roles you need all of us to play to help support your work?
Well, get your notebooks out, because I've got lots for you to do. Well, I mean, everything from being able to reach out to you guys as a partner. I was just mentioning to the landlady. Yep.
Rachel.
Yeah, Rachel. Yep, I call her the landlady.
Pink lady.
Yeah. She's a landlady.
Right.
So being able to have a partner like you guys where we encounter these blighted properties that have been placarded multiple times, the landlords are absentee, and they're empty, but I've got squatters or I've got people doing nefarious things on the property. Being able to maybe circumvent or expedite the bureaucratic process by you and Derek being able to help me with getting an agreement with the owner to put up fencing. That's huge, because that's one less property that we got to go and deal with on a daily basis, because it's the factors out. Also connecting with my local multifamily housing partners and making sure that we're all on the same sheet of music, helping them with evictions, anything that we can do to keep the minutia low so that the officers can focus on high-level stuff and put bad guys away.
And I know, and you mentioned one of the things I've come to really appreciate and learn is that the powers of the city in dealing with blighted properties are very much established by the state of Georgia.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
And the laws of the state of Georgia, and and I think many of those laws have been drawn, imagining in different kinds of neighborhoods, because one of the things we've learned, mentioned it, is when you have an abandoned property and you can't find the owner, and then unfortunately people take up residents that, maybe just be squatters and in more precarious cases, active, drug use, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very challenging because of the way the state defines being able to access that property, to be able to, the process you have to go through, because people would think it would be simple. It is not simple at all.
Same for us, too.
It's very challenging.
Making an arrest there is not simple.
Right.
That person doesn't belong there. Well, they're establishing. It's a whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because people often think if they see something that they can just call y'all and go deal with that, but it's not that simple at all.
It's not. We have to get them trespassed from the property, and then we can make an arrest. Now, however, if it's placarded by code enforcement or zoning, then that gives us the upper hand, which is a great tool for us. But it's like playing whack-a-mole sometimes. You take the placard down, and you're back there. One of them burned down the other day because people were in there doing drugs. So one less thing to deal with would be helpful, right? So we can really focus on crime and safety and not have to deal with minutia like that.
Right. Yeah. No, and thanks to all the support we've received from so many companies, we've been able to buy up over 50 acres. Most of that, we really try to target blighted vacant land, and, demolish it and then try to, we'll rebuild it. But in thinking, because I've read, wonderful about this community is it has such a heart of compassion. Mm-hmm. And so people often want to even for the person illegally squatting and has challenges, if that person has a heart to give themselves a second chance, you want to give that person. So talk a little bit how you work with the alternative programs and how that works, if people have a real kind of understanding of, how that works and how y'all think about it.
Sure. I mean, from APD standpoint, and just from a human standpoint, there's no way that we can arrest ourselves out of these long-term, deep root cause issues. There's got to be other ways, and there's got to be education. So policing alternatives and the diversion center, which is right next to the jail, we've been pretty successful in utilizing that in a few dozen instances in 2025 and a few in 2026. We don't have to make an arrest a lot of times, especially when homelessness is a factor or extreme poverty, mental health, drug use. So we do have some really good options a lot of times, though, but some people don't want help. So we all are in facing those obstacles. So we just have to keep finding alternatives and finding other opportunities for people. And whether it's plugging in with education or somebody from outreach, there's so many great outreach groups in English Avenue and Vine City as well. Everything from youth at Promise, other outreach. I mean, that's a one-stop shop at Cameron Alexander for all those spokes of outreach. But then we have other adult outreach as well. So I think we have a lot of opportunities, a lot of engagement from all the NGOs in the area. And the officers are becoming more and more and more aware of that. And it's my job to try to educate them. And they're young. A lot of the officers are young, and keeping them educated, keeping them engaged, and knowing what those opportunities are.
So there's definitely alternatives for people to call.
Mm-hmm.
And I see our MPUL chair here, and I think in the last MPU call, what really came up is how are we supporting, the unhoused, right? And so part of it is, what we've learned too, is there are programs out there, but part of the challenge is what do you do when someone refuses to get help?
Yeah, it's tough. And sometimes we just have to come up with plan B. We got a repeat problem that I've been working with you and Derek on, and a couple of residents that they just keep calling, and every now and then it involves crime. So we're going to use crime enforcement to handle it when we can. And if this person wants to, take the diversion route, we'll do that too. But if they're going to be engaged in nefarious activities and drug use or vandalizing people's property, then they're going to go to jail.
Yeah, and so I appreciate that, and I guess it's but your first approach is always when you encounter someone, if they're not actively involved in criminal activity, how to get them the appropriate help.
100%. 100%. We're not. That's not going to be helpful. Even putting that one person that when I'm talking about putting him in jail, it only took away the problem for 3 days. So we could start coming up with some other plans. However, I can't turn a blind eye if somebody is committing a crime and victimizing somebody else. We have to do the right thing there.
And in just a minute, we'll open it up to folks from the community. But talk a little bit about, because it's been a big part of the Atlanta Police Foundation, efforts. We contributed some land. I think we have about 25 officers now living across the neighborhoods. But talk about how you work with them. How they plugged into the Zone 1 efforts.
Sure, we have a lot of officers that are homeowners in English Avenue and Vine City, and across Zone 1 as well. But and then we have the recruit housing on North Avenue. And interestingly, with my background working at the Police Foundation earlier in my career, and then coming back here a couple times, and then working at the academy, so I see where the recruit housing was helpful in all those circumstances. I really like the partnership that personally I've created as the zone commander and assistant zone commander with the officers living in the area. In fact, we have a sergeant in Zone 1 right now who still lives in the community. So I've got some buy-in with them, and I try to meet with them at least 2 or 3 times a year just to kind of gauge where they're at, making sure they're staying involved, coming to events. I just send calendar invites out to community meetings, dinners, whatever it might be. And so far, I'm seeing some momentum with them calling, And it's a tough spot because they live here. I don't want them to walk outside in their pajamas and have to be the police. That's not fair. However, if we have good communication with them, we can make sure we're on the same sheet of music with enforcement in their neighborhood, so neighbors aren't coming up and asking them to do stuff without trying to cook dinner for their kids. So it's a balancing act. However, the presence is strong, and the presence is important for a couple of reasons. One, provides safety, just a visible deterrent. But two, they're engaged in community. These are the same people that are serving the police department, but also living in English Avenue in Vine City. So I think there's maybe 4 legs to that stool.
Okay.
To quote you from earlier.
Thank you. Put another leg on. My last question will open up for folks. But as you can tell from the stuff for introductions, we have a great group of people here this morning, many others watching. But as you think about what you're trying to accomplish, if you have something you want folks here to hear in terms of how to partner with you in Zone 1, we just want to give you an opportunity to say what you might like.
Yeah, so a couple things. One, let's continue to make these partnerships strong. And even if it's not a formal community, it's not an MPU, it's not the Westside Future Fund, if we want to have some ad hoc meetings or walkthroughs or, hey, let's get out and Procter & Payne's, I got out with some neighbors and we identified some blighted properties and some issues with the fence at the park. I mean, it took us 30 minutes, super helpful, and we were able to knock some stuff off their checklist. Any of those ad hoc groups, I'm happy to engage in and have some organic conversations. Those are always helpful. And then two, give us an opportunity, give Captain Jones and I an opportunity to work with our officers. So if you guys aren't getting what you think you want from your beat officer, before we go some extreme route in complaining or doing whatever, obviously if it's very important, then you want to complain. But let's try to educate. Let's try to work on this stuff. I feel like we can get to the solution faster if we work on it together and have conversations. These guys are burdened with many things at the same time, and they got a camera strapped to their chest all the time that they're out and about. So let's give them a little grace. And at the same time, I want to give you guys some grace. So I think more so together we work organically, and it doesn't have to be anything planned. So please continue to reach out, start working with these organizations that are willing to help, willing to provide financial literacy, willing to provide home ownership. And we keep doing that, and we keep building community.
Yeah, no, thank you. So we're going to open up to the audience. Sure. So if you want to ask a question, please raise your hand, and Sonia will bring a mic.
Oh, good grief.
I see lots of hands.
It's not an MPUL meeting.
Thank God.
But I do have a question. How many officers patrol out English Avenue, Vine City at night? How many, give me a number. Like how many at night do you have patrol Zone 1?
Let me explain the patrol shifts, and that'll answer all that. So we run 3 patrol shifts, 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. There's a overlap, 1 p.m. to 11 p.m., and then 9 p.m. back to 6 a.m., right? So there's always an overlap. 102 always has at least one officer in that beat every day. Sometimes that's double, right? And then in addition to that, so there's always one, and then there's always overlap, and then sometimes that beat is doubled up, right? And then we also have kind of our crime suppression unit, Swiss Army knife sort of group, and they patrol 4, sometimes 5 nights a week, and there's 8 officers and 2 supervisors on that unit, and they kind of just attack different problems across the entire zone.
Okay.
But right now they spend probably 65 to 70% of their time in English Avenue and Vine City at some point in time in the day.
Okay, my last question for you is, we know we have approximately 25 officers that live I think that's what you said in English Avenue Vine City. Is that right? Was it through the home program?
Roughly. It fluctuates because some people fall off, but they stay in the group. Yeah.
So my concern with the neighborhood is this. Do those officers understand what their obligation is, since they went through the home ownership program, what their obligation is to be a presence? Like having a police car in front of a house, it's not necessarily a presence. It's not a deterrent. How about that? Do they understand what their obligation is to get out in the community to make their presence felt? Because if they don't, then we kind of are just swimming against the tide. You just see what I'm saying?
I would say the answer is yes. They know what's required of them. However, a lot of them work different shifts. So we might not see them out shaking hands with little kids right now because they might be at work, or they might be asleep because they worked until 6 o'clock this morning. So we got to give them a little grace there. And like I said before, I don't want them walking outside in their pajamas and being the police. But if there is room for improvement, I'm happy to bridge that gap. I'm happy to work on that. They don't report to me specifically, but I do have touch points with them. And I've had, in the last 3 or 4 months, I've had some real successes with them. I hear them on the radio when they're coming home from work, seeing something, bringing officers in to handle it. I see them at Promise. I see them at other outreach events at the park. So I see them showing up. Good morning, Miss Adams.
Good morning. I don't have a question. I just want to thank you for the great work you have done, especially in Baldini City. When I first met you over the 20-some years, we did have some words. But
I think you've had words with a lot of people, Miss Adams.
But once we got to know each other and you found out my passion for my neighborhood, and I found out your passion as a police officer to work in my neighborhood. So I just want to personally thank you for all the great work that you've done and for my neighborhood. Thanks.
Thank you, Miss Adams.
Good morning. Good morning.
There you are.
I live in Zone 1, and I want to first of all say how much I appreciate your leadership style. It's a welcome, refreshing, non-vibrato kind of approach that we're accustomed to from the male leadership, and so I appreciate that.
That's what you get when women are in charge, right?
Absolutely. Just placing that. Thank you. We're there. So anyway, I want to ask, though, because Zone 1, English Avenue, Vine City, all of the West Side has a very diverse population. What is your, in Zone 1, as well as the City of Atlanta's, response to ICE?
I'm sure I'm supposed to say have a canned answer for that. But personally, I've never seen an ICE operation in the city of Atlanta in the last 21 years. It's not a thing. We have some protocols if we do encounter somebody with a detention order that is in custody, or we're arresting for another crime and that gets handled at the jail. Other than that, I'm not seeing anything. We do support some protests that have popped up at the courthouse, which is down on Spring, Ted Turner. But other than that, we don't have any. Do you have a follow-up?
Well, the community is hearing otherwise, and especially given that the world is coming here and communities are discouraged from being here, so we're a little bit concerned about what's about to come.
I understand.
So really just want to, other than you're not seeing hearing, well, we're hearing, and so we're curious about that because I'm sure you folks hear like we hear, so.
I understand, and in my own community where I live, I see this chatter on social and community boards and stuff. What I can say personally is don't believe all that you hear. Both sides, we got a lot of storytelling. So we got to stick with the facts first and foremost. I heard helicopters in my neighborhood a few weeks ago, and on the social media boards it's ICE. They're doing raids. The last time I didn't see, I've seen ICE on TV. I've never seen anybody rappelling out of a helicopter. So there's 4 military bases here within 30 miles. So probably doing training. So let's stick with the facts. Chief Shearbaum and leadership has been very clear about our role, and our role is community and building community relationships. We have no interest in fracturing those relationships, and we're going to continue to do our job and focus on the laws in the state of Georgia and the city of Atlanta. That's it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thanks again for being here.
Yes, ma'am.
And big fan of Officer Glover, and y'all have been very supportive. As an affordable housing provider, I'm really struggling. It's very challenging. And my question is, what sort of support do you get from other teams, the gang unit? What sort of support you get there from the drug teams?
Yep.
What sort of supportive services are you getting there? And then secondly, I've talked about this, but Atlanta Police Foundation, I could use a follow-up there in terms of the cameras. I'm getting nowhere.
Okay, I'll take care of that. And so as far as your question about on my partnerships within APD, we didn't really get into that, John, at all. But Captain Jones and I are on the phone with the gang unit, intel unit, Apex, investigations daily. We've already solved the murder that happened 2 days ago on Cameron Alexander in the vacant building there. We made an arrest. It was another homeless person. We caught them yesterday, did a search warrant. So the collaboration within APD is very strong. If I give them a tip, there's immediate follow-up. Our technology and investigatory leads coming from technology we're head and shoulders above other agencies. And all I have to do is raise a hand, and most of the times they're already like, oh, we're already looking at that, Mage. We're already on it. And my guys that work, sorry, I'm from the Midwest, so guys means y'all. Okay, got it. So my guys on these, especially on CSU or on Apex or some of my really hard workers on the watches, I don't even have to ask them. They already know about Joe Blow, who's victimizing people. They're already on it. And they're like, yeah, Mage, we already know that. We already saw them on social media. I'm already looking at this. And I'm like, okay. So they're way smarter than I am about the organic knowledge about crime in the streets, for sure. Thanks for that question, Pam.
Thank you, Commander, for being here. You're terrific.
Yes, Neil.
You said crime was up in Zone 1 compared to a 7% decline citywide. Are you understaffed, and what can you do about that to make sure that your numbers go down?
Great question. I was understaffed. However, we are really hitting our stride in hiring, and I feel like we're really in a good spot right now, and it's going to continue to improve. Staffing is already improving into 2026. I feel really good about that. We switched to a 10-hour shift schedule versus a 5/8, and the guys are really liking that. So I like where we're going. Things, after 2020, things were very low, and now we're really hitting our stride. It's getting better. And part of the increase in crime was me acquiring more land mass and density without getting more people. So basically simple math is why part of that was the reason for the increase in crime. But I feel good about staffing. I feel like we're going to be hitting our stride by the time we get to FIFA. I'm always going to take more people all day long. But and the chief knows that. I keep asking him. I say, hey, I really need to chip away at 102. I need more people. So don't worry. I'm asking him every time I see him.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
My question is more about coding and reporting. Recently at church, someone broke in my car, and they stole $1 bill that I had in the console and passed out to the individual at the corner. And then later I found out they got my night glasses. My question is, how do you code that? I mean, at first the guy was saying when he called me, vandalism, or do you code that a car break-in? Especially in the beginning, because you only knew that they took $1.
Yeah, I still have to eat the car break-in on that one, unfortunately. There's some strict language inside the elements of each of these statutes that we have to write it a certain way, and we have to follow the FBI guidelines for NIBRS reporting. So that'd be a car break-in, theft from auto. I know it's stupid, but.
I think we have time for one more question. Great.
I have 2 questions. So first one is the police, are you guys planning anything like towards the World Cup? Is there going to be like an increased police presence, specifically in Vine City and English Avenue? And then as well, I've been in Vine City for about 4 years now, and I do see the police cars around, but I don't know how to like interact with the police. Like, how am I supposed to interact with them? Because I heard you talk about like they're going to get groceries, or you don't want to. So yeah, just like how can I approach them? How can I interact with them? How, if something maybe goes wrong and I need help, can I tap on their, I don't know, how can I just like get help from them?
Thank you. Tell me your name.
Zenga.
Zayden?
Zenga. Zenga. Zenga.
Zagan, okay, got it. So, first of all, tons of stuff about the World Cup. Are we going to talk about that? Should we?
Go real quick.
And then, but to go to your other question, please just go up and talk to them. They'll talk to you. Ask Miss Adams. She goes up and talks to them every day. So, she leave already? But the guys are very approachable. You know, it's not like the police department doesn't represent the community. The police department looks like everybody in this room. So please, go up and just chat them up. Drop my name if you want. Just be like, hey, the major told me to introduce myself. Who cares? Just lie. It's fine. But just go chat them up, please. I mean, as long as they're not doing something, if they're not chasing somebody or doing something important, please go up and chat them up. And then, 2, tons of stuff about World Cup. There's a lot of information out there. I encourage you to join the NPU and the neighborhood stuff. They are doing some ad hoc groups and some focus groups for FIFA. Is it going to impact English Avenue and Vine City? Yes, a bit, because we're on the periphery here. There's going to be an increase in traffic. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Airbnbs and rental properties up during that time for people staying in town. The only major artery that I think is going to be impacted by traffic is probably North Side. But that's probably only going to be on game days for the most part. Maybe with an influx of traffic, but it's not impacted by, we're not closing it or anything like that. Not at all. The only road that would ever be closed for games would be North Side, and that would be during the actual game, and then a small portion of ML King. So Lowry will just see an increase in traffic for people going around the area. And is it going to increase people? Yeah, just like any other event and weekends in Atlanta. I mean, traffic's bad. So other than that, not much. But there's tons of stuff at the granular level. I would say get with Leonard. There's a lot of ad hoc groups already together. There might be a showcase at some of these locations in English Avenue and Vine City. I don't know, when they just had the launch on was it Wednesday when they launched the website? And there's tons of information about that. I think it's World Cup FIFA 2026 or Dan's.
Showcase Atlanta.
Yeah, but Dan's from the Atlanta Sports Council, that website, that is not police department related. That's all FIFA related. So Google.
All right, we can, I think the interaction and your accessibility and your candor is deeply appreciated. Thank you for this. Let's give it up for the zone commander, Mr. Baldini. And I can give testimony that you're amazingly accessible, so people have issues, they can come by the zone office or reach out to you. But,
email's best. Email's
best.
always best because I'll answer right away.
Yeah, no, thank you. So we're gonna wind up our summit. You got 2 minutes left, and we want to do the promised gift card drawing. So that's what we're gonna do next. So come on.
I got plants to plant. It's going to be a nice weekend.
We'll let you call out the number. Well, how about that?
Yeah, great. All right, 419. The last three are 545. 545.
All right, Trees Atlanta.
He doesn't need it. He's the trees guy. Okay, next one.
He's donated it back to the next person.
Thank you, Michael. His wife is a very powerful district attorney who put a lot of bad guys away, and parent of kids in APS. Great partner, Michael. All right, last four. 564. 5, 6. Hey!
Winner.
Get some ferns for your front porch. What's this one?
Goodwill.
Ooh, Goodwill. Okay. Goodwill. The blue ticket. 212-0305.
Hey.
Oh, she's so cute.
All right, well, thank all of y'all for being here. Thank you for being an inspired, beloved builder and leading our devotion this morning. Thank you again to our zone commander. I hope beautiful weekend. Hope everyone has a great weekend. We're back in the third Friday in April. So have a great weekend. Thank you. Great job.